Women's History Month is a celebration of women's contribution to history, culture, and society.
Exactly. And in 1980, President Jimmy Carter issued the first presidential proclamation establishing National Women's History Week. Mm-hmm. And then the following year, Congress passed a resolution establishing a national celebration.
And in 1987, the National Women's History Project successfully petitioned Congress to expand the event to the entire month of March.
It is Women's History Month, y'all. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to be talking about some badass women in history that really made a difference on our society.
That's right.
Let's get to it.
Nice.
All right. All right, y'all. So we're talking about some badass women, right? Mm-hmm. And the first person we're going to talk about is Shirley Chisholm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. She's pretty badass.
Yeah. Reagan is depressed, but I voted for Shirley Chisholm.
Hey. Nice.
All right, so Shirley Chisholm, right? She was a pioneering African-American woman, politician, born in Brooklyn in 1924, right? Brooklyn. She began her professional career as a teacher. She served as director of the Hamilton-Madison Child Care Center until the late 1950s. Then as an educational consultant for New York City's Bureau of Child Welfare. In 1968, she became the first African-American to earn election to Congress. That's a big deal. Where she worked on the Education and Labor Committee and helped form the Black Caucus, which, still exists today.
Right. She helped form that.
Yeah,
wow.
Indeed. In 1972, she made history again by becoming the first black woman of a major party to run for a presidential nomination. Right? After serving 7 terms in the House, she retired from office to become a teacher again and a public speaker.
Wow.
So, I mean...
That's an accomplished life, right?
Badass.
Right.
You know
I mean...
And
Drop the
especially,
mic.
Drop the mic, because you're talking about in the times that she was doing it, too.
Right.
You're talking about the 70s, you know? She started probably in the 60s, but I mean 70s with as far as the political career. You know, it's being a woman and being a black woman.
Right.
I mean,
wasn't there an assassination attempt?
There definitely was.
I mean, it makes
sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary.
She was
Being
bold.
the climate. She was bold.
You know, if you look at old footage of her, you just see her tenacity and boldness and just really putting things down the way they should be put down and people recognize, you know, and I really appreciate that about her. And she really was a template, I would say, for a lot of other black women to get into politics as well.
Oh, definitely.
Moving forward up till today where we have the, Kamala Harris as
of course
vice president.
Right.
And the thing about that really gets me so excited about Kamala Harris is she's the first woman vice president.
Yeah.
Like she's the first woman vice president.
Woman. Yeah.
And she happens to be a woman of color. You know, and that is awesome.
Yeah.
You're part Jamaican, you know, like
Right.
What the guan?
it's insane. It is really, really cool. So,
It's inspiring. And then, again, going back to representation,
Right.
I mean, you see it, you can be it. It's just simple as that. You know?
Absolutely.
That's true.
So what other badass women are we going to be talking about today?
Who you got, Mike? Who you got?
So when we were thinking about badass women, I thought Ida B. Wells.
Okay.
Because just from learning about what she did in the time that she did it, so let me give you
Yeah, what'd she do?
breakdown.
What'd she do?
Give us
Let me
a
give you
little
a
breakdown.
Break it down.
Oh,
That was nice.
okay.
That was pretty good.
So, Ida B. Wells, she was a journalist and educator. She was born in Mississippi in 1862, and she was the firstborn from her parents. And her parents and her sister actually died from yellow fever.
Oh.
Which left her to raise her brothers and sister on her own.
Wow.
Since she was the oldest. So before that, her parents instilled education. So she did go to Rust, and she actually, to provide for her family, she lied about her age and was able to get a job teaching.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people, I feel like, did that back in the day. Just straight up lied about how old they were.
I did that. I didn't really have to, per se, but I wanted to. But yes, yeah.
But yes, no, she did that, and she actually sued a train company for throwing her off a first-class train despite having a ticket. They tried to regulate her to the African-American section of the train, but she sued and she won.
Back then.
Back then.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
But unfortunately, this decision was reversed.
Oh.
So,
Wow, that makes sense.
you know. And after some coworkers and a friend was lynched, she actually began her journalism work anti-lynching campaign, which led her to go on to speak and actually expose, you know, the lynchings that were going on and question and, you know, bring this up as an issue. You know, without her, we probably wouldn't know about a lot of the lynchings that were going on. So she was really the one to expose this in pamphlets and then with her own paper.
Okay.
So she had her own paper, which was eventually destroyed and vandalized. Her equipment was destroyed, and she was threatened. Fortunately, she was in New York City at the time, but she was threatened if she ever came back to Mississippi that she would be killed.
Wow.
Which forced her, the threats got so bad that she had to go to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And there she continued her anti-lynching campaign. She traveled internationally for her anti-lynching campaign, spreading the word and spreading the message about what was going on and the wrongs that were happening. And she actually also co-founded the NAACP as well.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she wasn't credited at first as being a co-founder, though.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know, there's that. And she actually wasn't afraid to also call out suffragists, you know, in the women's movement for ignoring the lynchings, you know, and she was ostracized for that.
Really?
For speaking out about, you know, the lynchings and why aren't they, you know, talking about this.
I mean, that tracks in terms of how those kind of like movements sort of work out.
Exactly.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
They kind of exclude
Right.
Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's very true.
So she continued her anti-lynching campaign, as well as she went back to teaching as well, and she did all this while being married and being a mother as well.
Oh, wow.
So can I
Badass.
say badass
Very nice.
hard enough? I mean, she was really a champion for us.
In those days and times when her life, you know, was on the line, for real.
For real. I can't imagine doing, even when I'm a journalist, and, you know, doing some of the work now when it comes to that, you know, you want to be careful, and sometimes it can get, you know, a little
dicey, right?
A little
Right,
dicey.
what you say and different things.
Right.
Stepping on toes.
Exactly.
She didn't care about nobody's stuff.
Right. People fear cancel culture. She feared, you know, for her life.
Yeah,
I feared death.
Life culture. Life cancer.
A life cancel.
Right, yeah.
So
that's
she was
true.
doing
Yeah,
this
that's awesome.
in Mississippi and in Memphis, doing this kind of
Wow.
work in the 1800s and the 1860s. And
Did not care.
Daggone
It's like,
Mississippi.
oh my
You
God.
don't get no crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so she's
Definitely somebody
a
we should know.
badass.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, Mom. So who do you have for your person?
So, who I picked for my person is Cathy Hughes. All right. And she was born on April 22nd in 1947 in Omaha, Nebraska. She's an entrepreneur, a radio and television personality, and business executive, and she has been listed as the second richest black woman in the United States.
Ooh, she got coin.
little cheddar. So let me
bit.
tell you how she became that. She is the founder and chairperson of Urban One, formerly known as Radio One. And it's the largest African-American owned and operated broadcast company in the nation. And she has a conglomerate of different outlets that she is in charge of, basically.
Wow.
And it's original content across spectrums of radio, television, and digital media. So in May of 2017, Radio One's name changed to the Urban One. So I'm sure some of you have probably heard of Urban One to reflect the market it serves. So Urban One is now the parent corporation of several subsidiaries. So you've all heard of TV One, the largest African-American owned cable television network in the country, and the current home of hit shows like Unsung, Uncensored. She also has syndicated radio programs. You know, popular radio programs that you might have heard of, like Ricky Smiley Morning Show, Tom Joyner Morning Show, I1 Digital, and home to several popular websites as well, Hello Beautiful being one, and also Cassius being another. So she has been able, she started in her hometown as a radio personality, and then she moved to DC, and then she finally just accumulated all of this status. She worked at Howard University, and she was a professor in their newly developed communications department at Howard.
Wow,
We know about Howard's communication department. And she was able to raise, like, in a year's time, it went from $250,000 in sales, because she was also the sales manager, to like $3 million in just a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so Howard recently, not that long ago, named their communication school after her. So she is really, when you think about black women or women period in media, she is one that you think about.
She's a giant.
Yeah, she's a giant.
Media mogul.
Yeah, exactly. And she was a host too.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so she
That's inspiring.
Yes.
That's the goal. I mean, shoot, that's
Right,
that's-
right.
like, seriously, you have a whole media conglomerate that you can control,
Yes.
and we all know how important media is.
Right, and that's why she started it. She wanted to give a voice.
Right.
When she was in Omaha, Nebraska, she was working at a radio station for a black-owned, organization there,
wow.
and I guess that gave her the inspiration to take it to like this national scale.
Control, representation,
Right.
control.
Yes.
Controlling the narrative.
Right.
Controlling the
yeah.
narrative, seeing us.
Right, so you even look like it's like at a TV One,
Right.
and we watch TV One. But the cool thing about TV One is it's still hers.
Yeah.
We have other media outlets
It
that
is
are
still black owned.
right, exactly.
Was founded by
Yes.
African American and still
exactly
black owned, because then
Yeah.
again you have companies that were founded by African Americans, like
So,
yeah,
like BET.
like BET.
like BET, like Essence. Well, Essence was actually bought back black again,
Right.
which is awesome.
Right.
But they were owned by Time.
Right, exactly.
Kind of point.
And it's woman, it's a woman in the space that
Right.
sometimes you might think might be male dominated.
Right.
Right. So that kind of goes into who Marcus is going to be talking about.
Well, I'm gonna break it down just a little bit differently. I mean, I do have a specific person, but it's
Right.
more so like I'm talking about the industry in and of itself in terms of badass women, right? Because I'm an editor, right? Video editor. And what's an interesting point is that there's actually been female film editors for years.
Okay.
Like in a space where you think, oh, most of the movies that are made, there's male dominant, male staff,
Right.
and all that other stuff.
Right.
It actually turns out that a lot of women are the people that actually are the people moving a lot of those movies forward in terms of the film editing.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. You have these well-known film editors, such as Thelma Schoonmaker. She's worked with Martin Scorsese on pretty much
really?
all of his projects since he started making films.
And he's a serious
Wow.
editor
And he's-
guy, right?
He's a serious filmmaker. All his films, and she has worked on pretty much all of his films to this day.
And you never heard, and people never heard of, well, not unless
Or
you're in
don't-
the industry.
And
but
if you're
the
in the
average
industry,
person,
she's won awards and stuff like
right,
that.
but your average person doesn't.
Exactly,
know who
yeah,
she
like
is.
your average person. You also have a person like Sally Menken, right? She's worked with Quentin Tarantino on all of his films, right? She tragically passed away in 2011, and you can kind of see the difference in how she's edited a lot of his films compared to like his more recent films.
Really?
And how a lot of that and how like they're constructed and whatnot. But the person I want to focus on today mostly is Joy McMillan, right?
Okay.
So Joy McMillan, she started off as an assistant editor on a bunch of different reality shows and stuff like that, right?
Oh, wow.
So she ended up working with Barry Jenkins, a well-known black filmmaker, and she edited Moon Knight with him. And through that, she became the first black female editor to be nominated for an Oscar.
Wow.
Like we were talking about it. We were talking about it before, right? Like this was 2018, 2019.
Something like that, right?
The first
when Moonlight won, did not win.
Yeah,
Won-
exactly. Yeah. the first female black editor
Wow.
like
Nominated.
to be nominated.
Yeah.
It's still crazy how we still have first, even to this day.
Even to this day.
But like,
Isn't it?
it's surprising, but it's
Yeah, it's-
not
but it's not.
surprising.
Well, because things didn't
It is
happen as long as people try to say, it wasn't that long ago with all these things that happened
true.
as far as,
That's
Yeah.
we're not that far from that past,
That's right.
There's only
That
a
people want to,
specific amount of time that African Americans have been able to thrive somewhat
right.
freely.
It's not
Yes.
been that long.
Right.
Yeah, we're just
That's
only
why we
getting
have
to
first.
it. Yeah. And so she's continued to work on stuff such as Barry Jenkins, also If Those Streets Can Talk. She's worked on films like Zola, that like critically acclaimed film about the Twitter story.
Twitter thread.
Yeah, so she edited that movie. And she's gonna be she's supposedly gonna be working with Barry Jenkins again on that Lion King prequel. Yeah, there's
really?
a Lion. Yeah, there's gonna be a Lion. Yeah, there's gonna be a Lion King prequel.
Who knew?
So
Animated?
based how Jon Favreau did the recent one.
Right.
Basically, Barry Jenkins is doing a prequel like that.
Wow, we're gonna learn about Mufasa. What is this deal?
Actually, yeah. But learn about Mufasa and Scar, and she's gonna be working on that.
Wow.
So we have this black female editor working on like not only these sort of like critical darlings, but now like big projects such as this.
That's awesome.
So just wanted to highlight the female film editors. I know a lot of badass film editors sort of from my personal life who were good friends and whatnot. So like it's cool. So I just wanted to highlight that part of female badassery in the industry that that I'm in.
Right.
I like that badassery.
Badassery.
That's right. That's right. You don't get no better than that. So women, the future is female. You've heard that kind of expression before. And I think when women get into a space, it changes things.
Oh, without a doubt.
For the better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I can argue that.
I don't think there's an argument.
There's no argument.
Right. That's just
Personally.
a fact.
Right.
That's my opinion.
It's not, I think, what do you think that is? Like, I don't know. It's just...
It's a different perspective.
Exactly.
We're coming from a different place, I believe.
And it's a different energy, and it's the full
Yes.
it's the full spectrum of human beings.
Exactly.
You
Women
understand
are
what I'm
half
saying?
of the planet.
Exactly.
And the fact that they're not in the room for a lot
Right.
of different things is kind of like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then you see all these people online that are kind of just like, oh, it's all what she and woke and all this other stuff. And it's just like, it's just more people in the room.
It's like I said, it's the full spectrum of humanity.
So you know what? So we love this discussion, we love this conversation, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah, let's continue online with this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So where can people...
Yes, let's
Continue.
continue this conversation. Tell us about some badass women you know in your life or that you just know about on social media. Let's talk. We have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and we have YouTube.
And probably you're watching this on YouTube, and if you are, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, comment below if you got something to say, and also hit the notification bell
Ding, ding.
so you get notified whenever we put out new videos.
Thank you so much for watching. Let's Kick It with the Joneses, and we will see you next time.